Hello, welcome back. Today we'll start a new topic. I'll talk about psychosis today. Most of us are well aware of the term schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is one type of psychosis. Psychosis is a broader term, a broader concept. So I'll try to cover this in two videos. Today I'll just give a general outline of psychosis and the other possible diseases under psychosis. And in the next video, I'll talk about schizophrenia specifically. Well, this word, this psychosis or schizophrenia in fact, are often used very loosely to denote any deviation from a healthy mindset. But it is not that. Because for any psychiatric illness, there are so many psychiatric illnesses, all of which are a deviation from healthy mindset. Psychosis is just one of them. So anybody who's behaving in a different way or maybe in a beyond normal way is not having schizophrenia or even psychosis. So what is psychosis? Psychosis is a clinical problem. It's a disorder which is characterized by some hallmark symptoms: delusions, hallucinations, and severe abnormality of behavior. I'll explain these terms today. Basically, I'll explain these terminologies which are often used but the exact significance is not known, and we'll try to just understand them. With the other disorders that happen in psychosis, there are acute psychotic disorders which we call as acute transient psychotic disorders. Now these happen, these do not stay for long. If the duration of the illness is less than 1 month, say, we usually call it an acute episode, an acute psychotic episode. With treatment, often the prognosis, that is the outcome, is very good, and there's a good percentage of people, good percentage of sufferers who never encounter the episode again in their lives. There are delusional disorders in which the other symptoms, which we'll shortly talk about, are not there, but there is only a delusion, one delusion or more than one delusions, and these may not actually cause a lot of hampering in the day-to-day activity, but yes, overall sense of well-being is definitely affected because that delusional thought takes precedence over all other thoughts of that person. So what are these symptoms? What is delusion? Delusion is at a thought level. It's a problem in our thinking. Delusion is a fixed, firm, false belief which cannot be shaken off despite giving evidence to the contrary, and which is not appropriate even to the person's own cultural understanding or cultural settings. Now there can be ideas. I can have a thought which may be somewhat inappropriate or somewhat beyond my cultural understanding or beyond the regular things, which may not be true. But if that idea takes precedence over all other ideas, over all other thoughts, if that idea is so convincing to myself that I am only thinking about that as the ultimate truth and I am not giving into any kind of evidence which says that no, this is not true, probably there can be another explanation. If the idea is so problematic that it is actually deciding how I'll feel, because of that idea I may stay sad, I may stay angry, I may stay happy beyond a level, then we call it a delusion. Now the conviction usually decides the severity. In a delusion there are multiple components. First, if I have a delusion, I must be absolutely convinced of it, the truth of it. So if somebody comes and tells me, no, this is not happening, I'll not believe. If the person gives me evidence, okay, this is actually happening, I'll try to find out some other explanation for that, but I'll still not be able to shake off my thought. That is the conviction. Now we come to the effect on me. It can affect my behavior as in my social relationships, beliefs about other people, interpersonal relationships, how I am communicating with other people, how I am judging their behavior, how I am explaining their behavior or their mindset. It can affect my mood. If some delusion is causing some anxiety. There are delusions which can cause anxiety, there are delusions which can cause anger, there are delusions which can cause happiness. So if my predominant mood is defined by that delusion, by that thought, because this is this, so I am staying angry, or I am staying anxious, or I am staying sad or happy, whatever. If it interferes with my other activities, so these are a few components. Along with that, yes, any deviation from normal behavior. For example, I may not be normally doing one particular act, one particular thing, but if I am having a delusion, then either as a reaction to it or to justify it, I might just indulge myself into some act which I would have probably never done if I did not have this thought. So this is a deviation from normal behavior. What are the examples? Because without examples, these are very theoretical things. It may be difficult to understand a bit. So I'll give some examples. There are a few delusions. I'll try to explain 4 of them. One is delusion of infidelity. That is, if I believe that my husband is cheating on me, or my partner is cheating on me. Well, this can be true also, but if my belief is not based on the matter, the actual explanation, I may still have a delusion. So when do I say that I have a delusion of infidelity? If I'm absolutely convinced that yes, my husband is cheating on me. How do I know that? I don't have a logical explanation. I may just feel that because he was looking at me, he was working and then he suddenly looked at me. That's why I knew that he was cheating on me. That's not an explanation. That's not a valid reason for him cheating on me. If that decides all my other activities, like I am excessively anxious and sometimes maybe angry with my husband, I fight with him often, or I am not able to concentrate on any other activities, I'm just keeping on thinking about it, that why is he cheating on me, and he's definitely cheating on me. My predominant mood is decided by this thought that my husband is cheating on me. Say I have this delusion that my husband is cheating on me. I may indulge in some behaviors which I would have probably not done. Like I may just go after him. If he's going out, I'm just going behind him to see where he's going. I'm checking his phone, I'm looking at his purse, I'm looking at anything that he uses just to see what is happening and to get an evidence of his cheating on me, where I have not got any evidence, but I'm still doing those things. It can be so severe as to disturb other people in his life, or indulge in fights with other people, with any woman he talks to or anybody he talks to, trying to generate evidences from any sources. But these are all driven by my thought. Everybody is coming and telling me, no, this is not happening, but I am not believing, because I have without a valid explanation, I have my beliefs set that no, this is what is happening. This is delusion of infidelity. Coming to delusion of persecution. In delusion of persecution, I feel that somebody is trying to harm me. Somebody may try to kill me, somebody may try to just harm in some other way, harm my family. Again, there is conviction. I am sure that somebody is trying to do that. Somebody is coming and giving me an evidence. No, nobody is trying to do that. Who will do? And why will he or she try to harm you? I have no explanation. I just know that no, this is what is happening. Sometimes such kind of links may be found out by the person who is suffering from a delusion that because when I was working, suddenly I heard a flight going over my terrace. So I just know, by that I know that somebody is trying to harm me. But how is that related to this? I don't know. I just know that was why I knew that somebody is trying to harm me. So again, this is not a valid explanation. My conviction, my explanations, my behavior, because I know that somebody is trying to harm me, I am anxious, I am worried, I may be very sad. I may in fact try to harm myself. Before anybody else does this, I'd rather do that. I might just be very scared of everything. I may be scared of meeting new people. I may be scared, I may be just bound inside my room, because I may have the belief that if I try to go out, somebody will come and kill me or somebody will harm me. I may in fact restrict my family members' activities, saying that if you go out, I know that there are so and so people or some other people who are trying to kill you. So these are actually affecting all the domains. And if I have a particular suspicion against somebody without a valid proof or without a definite reason, I may just simply stop talking to that person. I may try to, in fact, report to the police. There have been people who have reported to the police that so and so have tried to kill me, which was not true. So this was delusion of persecution. Coming to delusion of grandiosity. This often happens, this can happen in psychosis, this can happen in mood disorders like mania. We'll talk about it in another video. So what happens is that I believe that I am the best. I am the best in everything. Well, if I have an idea that I am the best, but I still know that probably there are other people who can be as good as I am, or if I feel that, well, I want to be one of the best, that is a valid concept, that is a valid thought process. But if I am absolutely convinced that I have the best knowledge, maybe I am the richest in the world, or I have connections with the Prime Minister or the Chief Minister or the Prime Minister of the US or some other country, or God. I know I have direct connection with God, and nobody else has done that. Nobody else has achieved that. So I can think that way. I can have other extreme level of thought, the thought processor, where I am extremely grandiose about myself, that I have something which nobody in the world has. So that, and if I'm absolutely convinced that if somebody comes and tells me, no, Bill Gates is richer than you, I'll not agree. What? Bill Gates is not. If somebody comes and tells me that, but how are you connecting to God? Like, how is that possible? And what do you have special because of which God connects with you only and nobody else? I do not have an answer. Such kind of conviction, my behavior, because I know that I can do anything or everything, so I might just be very rude to people, I might just spend, or I might try to contact people in vain. I might just spend so much just thinking that I am the richest person in the world, and I might just not have any money. There have been people who have actually spent, or who have actually promised someone so much of money that they don't even have. So we can explain we have understood the deviation from normal behavior and my mood state. I'm exceedingly happy or sometimes irritated if somebody doesn't agree with me. That, oh, I am the best, I am the richest, I know that this is what I'm doing and everybody in the world will follow me. Why are you not believing me? So I can be irritated, and these can cause problems, as we have just discussed. Delusion of nihilism. This often happens in severe depression. That the world doesn't exist, or there is nothing. I am nobody. There is nothing inside me. Either I don't exist or the world doesn't exist. To this extreme that I fail to realize that actually this is not true. Again, I'm convinced of it. My behavior, my mood is decided by this thought of mine, and not by the other possibilities. So these are basically delusions. Coming to hallucinations. What are hallucinations? Hallucinations are false perceptions. Perception is basically we sense something from through our sense organs, and then we interpret it in our brain. This is called perception. So if we perceive something which is not there clearly, then we are having the hallucinations, like seeing a snake where there is nothing. Now it is different from illusion by this, that in illusion there is an object, we just perceive it in a different way. Like if there is a rope, I'm just perceiving it as a snake, that is illusion. But if there is nothing, I'm still seeing a snake, then it is a hallucination. Hallucination can be in all the sense organ modalities, like auditory, visual, gustatory, that is related to taste, olfactory related to smell, and tactile related to touch. So I can feel something crawling on my skin which is not there. I can hear somebody speaking when nobody is speaking, or I can hear somebody else, some other voice when somebody else is speaking. So these, mostly in the psychosis or schizophrenia, we encounter the auditory and sometimes visual hallucination. The rest of the things are mostly occur in different conditions, not particularly in this. However, some people can have. So hallucinations are again problematic because the person who's having the hallucinations thinks that it is real. For them it is as clear and vivid as any normal hearing. You know, if I hear somebody speaking, if I am hallucinating some voice, I hear it as clear as if somebody is actually speaking, but which is not happening. This can be, now there are times, you know, in intense anxiety, in case of while going to sleep, sometimes just after we wake up, there can be temporary fragmentary hallucinations, but those are not persistent. In psychosis, usually the hallucinations stay for a longer time and they are more well formed. The voices or the visions or the crawling sensations or whatever, they are more well formed. So these are the hallucinations. Now, what are severe abnormalities of behavior? In our diagnostic criteria, they have been laid down pretty well. Now, what are the possibilities of the severe abnormalities of behavior? There can be excessive activity, excitement of the body or the mind, excessive retardation of the activity level. There can be complete refusal of food or water. There can be rigidity. There can be excessive flexibility. There can be inappropriate behavior, for example, collecting garbage or collecting burnt matchsticks or something like that. But we have quite a good number of details of what kind of behaviors can happen. But we should never say that somebody has psychosis just because my expectation of a behavior or my own idea of how one should behave in this particular situation is not matching with the person's behavior. So basically, my judgment and we are never the standards. The standard is the range of behavior shown by an average statistical number of people all across the world. And all these diagnostic criteria, all these symptoms are laid down on the basis of that. So it is not me who decides, it is the basic average which decides, and there is no one behavior. There are a range of behaviors shown in the normal range. So any extreme deviation from that is considered a problematic. So if we encounter somebody who is talking in a different way, slightly different way, or whose bodily gestures are slightly different, we should not tag them as having any psychotic symptoms. It may be completely normal for them. So these are basically the symptoms. I'll just conclude this video by saying a few things. There are so many people who are still having the stigma about the psychosis, schizophrenia. Again, this is biological. I'll talk about it in the next video, but let us just think for a moment how distressing this is for the person who's suffering from it. I know that somebody is trying to kill me. In my mind, the conviction is absolute, but nobody is believing me. I am not able to get any help. I don't know what to do in this situation. Same with hallucination. I am clearly hearing somebody else talking. Nobody else is able to hear. Nobody else believes me. People are looking at me as if I have said something wrong, as if I am lying, but I know that I am not lying because it is as clear as somebody else is talking. So just think about how difficult it is for them on a day-to-day basis to deal with these symptoms. So rather than stigmatizing them or just calling them, oh, this person has psychosis, oh, this person has very weird symptoms, this person has symptoms, we should simply believe that this person has a problem and we should seek professional help so that the person doesn't have to be distressed for long, for an unduly long time. That will be it for today, and we'll cover schizophrenia on the next video. Thank you so much.